You're listening to LaGrungeMusic.com.
Hello.
There,
There we go. What's up?
what's happening?
Not much. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, just hanging out.
Just got home from work. Had some time to let the dog out and get her kind of situated, but yeah, ready to go.
Right on, right on. Well,
How are the levels here? Am I sounding okay?
yeah, you're boomy. You're big and boomy. Yeah.
In
Uh
a good way?
well, yeah, because you're very loud and clear, right? Yeah, I can hear you great. I'm wondering if I shouldn't bump my volume up a little bit. All
Don't
right.
feel like we have to compete. This is not a
Oh,
competition.
oh no, I would it's never a competition. Uh just just respectfully close is what I'm shooting for.
Yeah, that's comfortable. I like it.
Wonderful. All right. So we've done this a million times, like the opposite way. And as much as I'd love to wait for people to file in, I have absolutely no idea how many people, if anyone, will even fall in because this is only the second time I'm doing this.
Sure. And that's like typically how this works is people are invited to the meeting and they just show up and it's all
Yep,
live.
yep. That is exactly right. I invited everybody in the group to join in on our conversation today. Because then, of course, uh, after we talk, if people come equipped with a streamable link, then we can listen to some of their songs and give some feedback on said songs, in a constructive and empowering way, or I guess if you wanted to, you could just say, "Well, that just sucks out loud." Uh, uh, I doubt that's gonna
No,
be.
just listen to some music. Yeah.
I doubt that's gonna be the case, and if anything, there's always something about something that you know. Uh, Even the stuff I love music so much, I can even find stuff that I like about the stuff that I don't like.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm listening. I'm with you.
Are you,
Same. I can appreciate, you know, kind of anything about a song, whether it is, one single aspect of it, like that groove is really great, or even if it's like the production is just fantastic. I can definitely appreciate, things on multiple levels.
Amen, brother. And honestly, you were on the short list of folks who I had met through the organization that I definitely wanted to have more of an extended conversation with. And I figured it'd be a unique opportunity to turn the scales. You're always the one asking all the questions, and yet here you are supporting all of these local artists. And there's probably not many of those artists that know a hell of a lot about Brandon Backstrom. So,
I kind of like the mystery.
well, I hate to pop that mystery, but in the same token, I'm like, I want to know more things. So, what got you into? How'd you kind of get into radio? Obviously, you're a music fan, but what got you into radio?
Well, like how I got into Bob FM was sort of a freak accident. Like that was I was actually a guest on the Homegrown show promoting a gig at the Doghouse in Maplewood, and PT was the host at the time, and it was me and Erica Hansen, and Jake Nelson was also there because we were playing a show, Jack Friday, at the Doghouse,
Nice.
and we were there to promote that show, and we just had a great time with PT. And when he ended up moving on to the Wolf, he reached out to me and was like, "Hey, man, if you're interested in hosting the Homegrown show on Bob FM, I think you'd be great at it. You should reach out to Neil Freeman." So I did, and I just ended up there. But I've always loved radio and had dreams of like doing something like that, but wouldn't even know where to begin outside of like going to Brown and doing whatever, which I didn't, take that path. But I did end up there anyway, and it's just a huge blessing. I love Bob FM, and I owe them a lot, for giving me this platform to support something that I love, which is local homegrown music, because that's where I come from anyway. So yeah, it just kind of happened, and I'm glad that it did.
That's so absolutely interesting. I hope you don't mind if I try to, dissect that a little bit,
No, yeah,
just
no,
just for a better understanding myself. So, you didn't start out in Brown,
no,
but because you were brought into the radio station and doing some things with the radio station, you then went to Brown?
no. There's zero
Zero.
education behind what I'm doing. It's all been learned on the fly and kind of put together. That's I mean, just working in music and producing live shows like that and everything. You kind of get a general idea of how to work audio equipment, and if you can understand all that, you can understand a broadcast desk as well. It's just
Sure.
similar stuff, just a little different. So picking up like the technical aspects of it on the fly was pretty, you know, easy. Kind of, I just have to. I watched Shadow Jeff Jones for quite a while. I still have to go to him on occasion, to answer a question or to point me in the right direction. But yeah, just kind of been learning as I go, and yeah, it's a fun challenge. I like it, and I'm up to the challenge. So
That is
it's
so cool. I am so glad the way you kind of answered the question before, it almost seemed like maybe you had attended some Brown. Uh,
no,
um,
yeah, it's like I did not go that way and had other than as far as I was concerned, that was the only way you could possibly kind of get into radio was
yeah,
through going to school for it and whatever. But and that's I think historically how it did work. Radio is obviously in a new sort of world right now. It's
yeah,
still a powerhouse in itself, but it does compete with the podcasting and streaming services and all of that. And it's just a different world. 20 years ago, I would never have a job at a radio station doing what I'm doing right now with my qualifications.
right,
So every
right.
day is a gift to me, and I'm just waiting for the shoe to drop, or the somebody to catch on and be like, "What is he doing here?" But I got him fooled so far, so it's all good.
I would never know that. And also, like, the way you host the show, the homegrown show, is like just, you know, you're on top of the program. And you obviously have a great rapport, even with just the investigative side of it, just bringing out some conversation from people that you may hardly even know. They might have just showed up in your studio for this particular thing, even though you kind of set the event. So I'm super impressed by that, Brendan. I like I had no idea. But that is so cool. And I also love that you just kind of fell into things. I mean, obviously, there's always an educational way, and yet you and I can probably both name like a ton of people who have done the whole educational thing and never got to where they
Right.
they took the whole education to get to in the first place, right? So like being able to that is so cool. But I also think that like you're a duck in that water, man. Like I gotta imagine you hit that water swimming.
Yeah, I mean, because and that's the thing that I spent years in a country band. We never made it to radio or doing anything like that, but we did. It was six-wheel drive for the majority of its run, also known as North Gone South for a little bit. But
Mhm.
six-wheel drive did eventually turn into Maiden Dixie, which then did turn into Lake and Lindale and all that. So as part of that kind of progression, which is kind of neat. But after the band, really, I just play with my friend Erica Hansen now and then. She's
Yeah,
far busier than I am with multiple different projects, but
man.
uh, yeah, kind of. I come from that world. I still got a foot in it a little bit, but and that helps with because I do view like the guests. Sometimes there are, oftentimes it is somebody that I've never met before, and I still want to approach it like we are old friends or whatever. Just it's a comfortable, casual conversation, and not too structured or formatted. Just like we're just going to talk a little bit. We're going to play some music, and it's going to be cool. So I don't know. That's just the way I like to do it.
I freaking love it. Yeah. No, I think you're a natural. So I think PT was right on.
And I still like every time I see him, it's there's a hug waiting for PT.
Right on, right on. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that is super, super cool. So thank you for all of that info. So let's talk about radio. And just like you said, you've never had a song or the band never had a song that made it to radio.
And yeah, we were just doing covers at the time I was in the band, which was a ton of fun. But there were even really no aspirations for it. We were happy doing what we were doing at the time.
I know for a fact that you have had songs on the radio since then, because I've listened to a few of them and enjoyed them with a few different projects where you were co-collaborator or collaborator uh, with someone else. I don't mean for you to, name off your whole catalog, but just
Well, it
as
wouldn't take long. Yeah, it's Anywhere But Here with RJ Graff and Greg Huberty. We wrote that one together. It's an RJ Graff tune.
oh, right
Uh,
on. That's the
but yeah,
one
we
I heard.
and then I play on an Erica Hansen song, Hold On. I think that's pretty much it though for what you would hear from me on the radio.
Yeah.
And I just play a little guitar on Erica's tune, yeah, but did co-write Anywhere But Here, which was a ton of fun. Shout out to Greg and RJ.
Right on, right on. Very
And
cool.
did you have Greg on? He was
He was my very first
episode 1, yeah.
episode one. Yeah, absolutely.
Good pick for episode 1.
Yeah, although, it kind of maybe not the greatest timing wise because then the very next week PT and Greg did a radio thing. But yeah,
Well, you were in front of it. That's
as it turns out, there was really no overlap. The information was all, I mean, all of the stuff that they were talking about was very much specific to the syndicated radio show.
sure.
And even now, even though we're talking about radio, I mean, what we're going to talk about is mostly your knowledge specific to the Homegrown show, which I think is a fabulous avenue, not only for people to get some airplay, but also, you know, the Homegrown show is a huge supporter of this community. You know,
Well, I
I
think it's all about networking. Same with the Midwest CMO, and it is about who you know and creating relationships, and that's where collaboration comes from. And so it's the more people you can support, and the more people you can just kind of be a part of their world, the better off for everybody. So that's kind of the Homegrown show's deal. It is a community driven project, and I did like all these people. I consider them family, and everyone is welcome back to the Homegrown show. Reach out to, I want to have you on. I want to promote whatever it is you have coming up. I need to know about it though. And you got to be planning ahead, thinking ahead, because I get anxious. And if I don't have a date booked, in the for the next 2-3 Sundays, I start worrying that I'm not going to fill that day, which has never happened. But it's still like I need to have these dates booked. So you got to be thinking ahead of time. As soon as you can reach out to me about a big show you got coming up, new music being released, a video, whatever it is. I want to promote that. I want to get you on, and you're welcome to come and do it. So reach out to me. Let's promote your stuff. But yeah, like I said, be in front of it, be ahead of it.
yeah, amen. No, that's so I that's super empowering, because I think sometimes too, like people just you're a super approachable guy. You know,
I
and
try not to be.
oh, okay. Okay. Well, for some reason, you come off as a pretty calm, centered, super approachable guy, whether you want to or not. And that's something that I definitely want everybody in the community to know that yeah, yeah. And thank you for all of that info for sure. So, like, we know that you've got one song, co-written song, uh, with RJ and Greg. So, and you do the shows with Erica. and which is also kind of unique. Well, there's one other cat that I know on radio who also runs around as an artist too, and Erica knows him very well. Uh, you know, Benjamin.
Oh yeah, Benjamin Ray for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know
Yeah.
him too. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
great. He did used to host the Homegrown show.
Oh,
He he worked at Bob FM, and I actually just recently replaced an old password of his that we were still using that because it was the one that was in there, and we're just like, whatever. Yeah, it's Benjamin's old password,
are you?
and I just recently changed it, and it's been years since he's worked there. I've been there for like 7, I think.
I did not know that he worked at the Homegrown show. I
Yeah,
mean, I know he worked at KQ and 93X for, you know, but I had no idea. Okay, so there you go. But I
it's a
love
small world, like even the radio part of it, the
right
all the musicians, the radio people, we all are part of a community.
for sure, for sure, for sure. I also love that you have that perspective of that side of it because most of the radio folks I've ever had any more conversations with, they usually have no interest in being on the artist side of things.
Well, and most radio is corporate radio now. They're all run by big, corporations, and Bob FM is still I mean, we have like a corporate feel. We're in a major market and have a big coverage area, but it's still an independent business, a family run business. So we don't play the corporate game. We are about Minnesota, the Midwest, our own backyard, and like there's power in that.
Amen, brother. Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. Uh, Absolutely. Yeah, it's not a iHeart or a Clear Channel, um, you know, baby. It's a family baby.
Yeah.
Supporting a community, and that's freaking amazing. Absolutely amazing. And as a testimony, like I don't think has there ever been, maybe it happened and uh, unbeknownst to me, but like as far as I know, like at least 4 or 5 years in a row, Bob FM is the best station according to the Midwest
Oh,
CMO as
yeah, and
well.
we are super honored by that to be named Radio Station of the Year. The award right now is sitting on our front lobby right when you walk in. It's the first thing you'll see on the desk there is this year's award. So yeah, that's a huge honor.
Amen. Amen. So I'm not the only one who absolutely loves that. There's obviously an entire community that absolutely loves that.
And we feel it, yeah, for sure.
Very cool. So do you have a favorite song that you've written? Is it unreleased or is it the collaboration?
That I've written,
Yes.
like that. That's there's I know I wouldn't even be able to pick like a specific tune. I mean, there's been a handful of songs that I've written or been a part of. Some like years and years ago that have been long forgotten to history, just written with like my buddy Josh in the garage on a, Wednesday afternoon, something like that. There's a lot of those, but I am a really big fan of Anywhere But Here, by RJ Graff. And
Amen.
it's kind of a road trippy song. And there's a couple things that I just really identify with, like rolling down the windows, cranking up the radio and singing along to George Strait and the Rolling Stones. Yeah, so I'm a fan of that one. I think that's a good tune.
Right on, for sure, for sure. And you and I see one of Greg, having had Greg on for the first guest, probably very much bonded over George Strait because that was one of his uh eye-opening references for his production journey was George Strait. He confessed to me, which
But
I think
he's just a great guy. I love Greg. And you can tell he's got great taste in music because everything he touches sounds fantastic. And he's done a wide variety of sounds, like from the like Dan Lapine, which has like a very George Strait
yep,
kind of
very
vibe, to some
traditional.
of the more poppy like Giulietti stuff that he's done. And yeah, he's just such a talented dude. I like everything. He's got a great ear. He's got a great ear.
I can't argue that. Absolutely. Yeah. And of course Haley James.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. I love like that relationship. It like not only is very good, but also is growing together too.
Yeah. Yep.
Like if you ask me, and you didn't, but we're sharing.
But no, definitely, I see that as well for sure. Watching them both kind of on a journey, because and Greg, like I think he when he added being a video director to his resume, that was with a Haley James video, and he's done great stuff with that too. Like he's just been continuing to impress me, and same with her. Which, yeah, just the recent Riley Green duet. Like come on,
Right,
that's yeah. And who you shoot Dustin Lynch before, right? Like
right,
Haley James can make a moment happen for sure.
right, right. All she has to do is chime up on social media.
The power of social media.
Bam, there it is. Self
Yeah.
manifested.
I wish I
Well,
had her social media savvy, and like just even a drive to want to do it, which I don't. That's one of my biggest, kind of obstacles or roadblocks is getting over that and like using social media, which I don't really. But I'm on it and I'm there, and that's where you can definitely reach out to me through Messenger or whatever, however you want to connect. Uh, I'm on it, but I'm not super active in posting things.
I can't say that I am very good with either, which is terrible. I feel like during this latter portion of existence, I feel like I've kind of dialed back a little bit. I don't play out as much, and then which is kind of what made me think, hey, you know what? You have room to give back. You know, you can do this. I can commit to one night a month where, you know, I have a guest and we have a conversation that hopefully will be not only entertaining but also enlightening for people in the organization. And I hope that you are swarmed by submissions, but in a very, very polite and respectful
Respectful
way.
kind of way. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
No, that's
you
no,
know,
flood me with them. I don't care.
you
I'll
know,
I'll sort through it.
amen. Because like, it's definitely, um, it's definitely a vehicle that, just like you said, it's not a corporate thing. It totally supports the community, and yeah, you know, when we first met, you didn't know me from Adam, but like I said, like you definitely have a natural talent just for, hey, you're okay. Let's talk about this. And coaxing, just in a natural way, just in a conversational sort of way, getting people to talk about themselves because I know it doesn't seem like it because I'm, you know, sometimes a little boisterous, but
Yeah, you
I
have no
know.
problem talking about yourself and about anything. Some people do though, and it is I do want to make people feel I mean I almost even hate to use the word safe because it just sounds so, whatever, but like comfortable, and like
uh,
yeah, like we're friends and we're talking even though and on the radio, yeah, we're talking to tens of thousands of people, but it's still just us in a room and we're just talking. It's not a big deal. So I always like to, start the show with a little just small talk back and forth. We're just chit chatting. And it's like, well, we're just going to do this exactly what we're doing right now, just in front of these microphones. So it's no different, And I think most people do fall into it right away, and it's good. So I appreciate you saying that because it is a conscious effort to kind of make it comfortable like that. Because
amen.
I remember walking into a studio and how it feels and what it can, be like. Having been on the other side of the equation does help a lot, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. And I also think that there's some natural talent there. You don't need, you don't have to duck that. I think it's just there. So, congratulations on that for sure. Right on. Um, this is kind of now this is a kind of a longer question. So like, if you don't have the whole entire complete answer or whatever for me, that's okay. And I'm kind of putting you on the
Should I be
spot with
taking notes?
I'm kind of putting you on the spot with this one. But can you give me a sort of just off the top of your head top five local artists that you've heard recently that really moved your needle. Give me some. You're kind of
Yeah.
giving some personal, like, hey, these are some people who rose above the crowd for me, and it's also, I think, not just giving those people a high five, but it's also giving people in the organization that'll see this and the public facing folks that'll see this, because we will play this on the public channel, you know, five artists to look out for, you know.
Yeah. I mean, there are a ton, and that's something we are very aware of at Bob FM, how many great homegrown artists we have here. But there are a few standouts lately that, and some are kind of new to me, that I did find through the Midwest CMO though. So most of your members and all that will be familiar with these names. But Corey Waller and the Wicked Things, I think, are incredible. I love this song "Steal a Car" is one of my favorites of at the moment. But everything I've heard from them has been fantastic. I love Claire Doyle; she's very good, and Molly
Right.
Brandt. I kind of I like the Americana thing, and they both have just a swagger about them that I don't know. I'm a big fan of both Claire Doyle and Molly Brandt.
Nice.
Um, who else? Like pretty much the entire lineup at the Midwest CMO Award Show this last year was incredible.
Yeah.
Big fan of Troy Castellano. He's a great guy, talented writer. Tony Cucchetti's one of my favorites. He's been a favorite for a minute though, so he's not like
Right.
one of the new kind of discoveries of me, but
No,
I
right
fell in love
on.
with Tony Cuccetti right away. Um, yeah, I don't. There's just there. I think everybody's great, and I am like I listen to a lot of different types of music, different styles, whatever. I'm not really into a certain kind of thing. I'm like into the sort of the invisible part of it. The If you mean what you're doing, I'm gonna probably connect with it, and like if and that's most of our people because they are out there grinding. They're playing a lot. They're releasing a lot of music. It's just real, and that comes through. So I like anything like that, and that's pretty much all we get here.
Right on. Right on. No, that's cool. I love that too, that you can play like anything. The form and the format there, although it
I
mainly.
get some leeway, like because they're like we do play some stuff in the homegrown, kind of rotation that probably wouldn't fit typically with the Bob FM format, which is
Right.
classic country,
More traditional.
traditional country, 80s, 90s are
Yeah.
really our bread and butter.
Yeah.
But in the homegrown show, especially between 5 and 6, I get to kind of run with it, and I've had the band this week is this Sunday is going to be the Dead Cowboys, and
Yeah,
they have a bit of a rock edge to them. I
for
can
sure.
imagine.
Bobby Jensen was
Yeah,
one of the singers in Hairball for the
you're right.
longest time. He took the place of Eddie Spiegel, who was one of the founding members, along with Chainsaw Kane, who then went to manage them after he retired. But yeah, totally small world. Look at that. We looped a couple things from a completely different place, but it's still the same place,
Yeah.
the Minnesota music scene, you know, but they make their way to Bob FM. That's absolutely fantabulous.
So yeah, and I'm really looking forward to it this Sunday night, 5 o'clock. Every Sunday night at 5 o'clock.
Absolutely. Yeah. Very, very cool.
What about you? What are your like top five or like just five new faces or new homegrown kind of artists that you are into at the moment?
Well, I discovered Eric, and I still can't pronounce his last name. Um, Hagen, Tegan. It's my close.
Hagen, I think maybe.
Sorry. Yeah, but like from the awards thing, because
Yeah,
hey, you got to do your research if you're gonna vote. I think, and maybe I'm,
you're doing your due diligence.
I could vote for all my friends, but that then it kind of seems like a
Yeah, you want to be
popularity.
fair about it. And
It seems like a popularity contest more than an actual vote then at that point. So I figure like I have to do my due diligence and do the thing. Yeah, we're running out of time. We got 4 minutes. So yeah, that's one of the new ones. Um I love that Monique Smaz
yeah,
is in the mix now. She's actually an old vocal student from my days at the School of Rock. Um
I didn't know you were at the School of Rock.
oh yeah,
That's a whole other episode.
I was all at all three locations at one point in my life, but I digress.
Were you with Adam Duran there?
Oh yeah, absolutely. He was at the St. Paul School, and that's where I started. I started there doing vocal lessons and whatnot, and then I ended up running all over doing vocal lessons and guitar lessons and this and that lessons and then a show director because they put on shows and they had a
That'd be
road.
fun.
And it was great. It was an education as much as I taught the kids taught me. And that's the honest to God's truth, because like
Yeah, I believe it. I was a camp counselor for years, so
so,
I think it would be a similar sort of experience.
so you know what
Yeah.
I'm talking about. Yeah, of course I love Haley James. For sure. Uh Papa Bear Norton. Come on, Papa Bear.
Doesn't get better than Papa Bear Norton.
And I have a really, really soft space in my heart for the Hell Country Truckers. Um, so every time they decide to put something, well, it's been a while, but I mean,
They were amazing at the Bob FM listener appreciation party.
and I couldn't make it, but I really wanted to. And I bet it was absolutely freaking amazing. Yeah, yeah, but for sure, I mean, I like Sarah Moore. Come on, I like I could do just like you said. Like
Yeah, they're all like we all love them
what
too. Like
we know too many fantastic, absolutely amazing artist people, which is wonderful.
it's a good problem to have. Yeah.
It's probably one of the best problems to have because you're never at a lack for something to entertain you and some quality talent to whisper sweet nothings in your ear. Fantastic stuff.
Well, and I would say to all the Midwest CMO members or anybody listening to this that's not on the Bob FM homegrown artist directory, which is at mybobcountry.com, reach out to me and let me know. Let me get you added to that list because that's a great resource too to just go click on a name, click on a thing, hit their shows, tab and find out where they're playing because there's great music happening right down the street from you tonight. I was upset that I didn't find out about it until after, but Derek Jones was in Blaine, right down the street from me, playing a show, and I was like, dude, I could have walked to there. I wish I would have known about that show, but yeah, so hit me up. Let's get you on the homegrown artist directory.
Yeah, man, for sure, for sure. Yeah, the Midwest CMO page has kind of a directory that way too, but well, I don't know that everybody's going there other than members or whatever. But yeah, yeah. No, I that'd be something, and I'm sorry you missed that. But Derek Jones and
And
Blaine,
he's one that I found like because that's it was a few years ago because it was one of the shows at the Medina, the award show. Neil and I were both there, and he performed at it, and that was when I saw him for the first time. And was like, I like this dude, and yeah, I've been a fan ever since. So that's I
right?
love the Midwest CMO man. I've discovered many great tunes and people from there, and a lot of which I still have yet to meet. So, and I know like some of them aren't all super local, so that's even a tougher one. If you're a little outside of the Twin Cities area, but you still want to come on, I want to have you on, even if you're not from Minnesota. I've had a dude on from North Carolina, Kanan James. He's a member. He's been on the show. I played a guy from Norway, so like I'll get the Iowa, Illinois, Dakotas, whoever. You can all reach out to me, and if you are planning a tour, coming through the cities, as soon as you know about it, reach out. Say, I'm going to be up in your area in September. Well, great. Let's get you on the Homegrown show while you're in town. So, yeah, like I would love to help out with that. So even with the people, the Midwest CMO members that aren't super local, you still got a home at Bob FM.
Amen. Yeah, fantastic. In fact, the first time I ever saw you was at a Midwest CMA mix up, right?
Oh,
Probably.
one of the best nights of my life, and it was. Yeah, you stopped me in my tracks with your Prince singing "Kiss" by Prince, strutting your stuff with the guitar and the headset microphone. Just like, who is this guy? Yeah, I've been a fan ever since, and I love that night. That whole thing was fantastic. Where's the petition? Where do I sign to get those fired up again? I know that's a lot of work, and just putting on any kind of show like that is a huge undertaking, but so worth it. That was a great night. I'm not volunteering myself to do it, by the way, but somebody should take up that mantle because it was one of the greatest things
Oh,
ever. And if like newer members and stuff that have not weren't around when that happened or don't even know what we're talking about, it was the coolest thing ever. They just shuffled all the different players from different bands up and put you in a new band for one night, and you had to do a 3-song set. And again, how many new friends were made? How many people in your band did you know before that event?
well, to be fair, I'm kind of like you in the sense that like I'm a huge fan of the scene, so I knew like all of them.
Okay, I didn't know any of our people.
Literally all of them because Grant is with Devin Worley,
Devin
and
Worley,
I've
yeah.
done shows with Devin Worley. We did some outdoor stuff together. Um, like Riverbendfest we'd done together a few times. And then Rob Nelson, who plays with cousin Shane, Shane Martin and whatnot, guitar player, right? But also uh Joe Flip. Joe Flip, who like I didn't know that well, but I knew him because he did a duo with Swanee Rose, and Swanee Rose is also in my group, right? So and I knew
So there were a lot of connections there in your group.
Swanee and I had actually done we're talking about doing some duo stuff together or whatever
I
too.
think most of the people in our group, like if not everybody, it was their first time meeting each other. We all met for the first time under Serious Moonlight, which was the name of our
Oh,
band, and I'll never forget it.
yeah. That was great though too, man. I mean, you were
I got to sing David Bowie,
rocking the
in front
boat.
of a fun crowd that was really into everything that was going on. So yeah, that was a dream come true.
That was kick ass. Well, we only have 2 minutes here before it cuts us off, and it does so like, indiscriminately,
Abruptly, just boom, you're done.
you know, yanks you away. So thank you so much for being my guest. It's tribute to your character that you'd help me out with this thing that I'm
That's what
just
I'm here for.
starting to try to get off the ground. And one
I'd
of
love to do it again, and you got to keep the momentum going and keep doing it, and like I think this is a great resource for the Midwest CMO and just any songwriter person, especially to play their music. That would have been a lot of fun. So yeah, keep it rolling. We'll do it again.
I'm committed to the end of the year. So there'll be six of these. And if we don't if we I have to concede after the sixth one if I don't get a whole lot of participation. Maybe it's just me trying to force what I think some people would like onto an entire community. I have to kind of
Like the people don't like a podcast format that is also has a participation level. I think they'd love it. Like that's everyone's listening to podcasts. We got less than a minute.
you can see the timer too. Yeah, but I also, speaking of all of that stuff, I also kind of wanted to fan that flame of the mix up, because
Yeah,
I feel like it was probably the best bonding experience
for sure.
that happened since I've been involved in the organization
I agree. It should be mandatory once a year.
since its beginning. And if I have to put in a little skin to help with that, I definitely will. You know, uh, I know a little bit about production, and
You can make it happen.
I've run some live sound. I can do some things. I can play a bunch of instruments. I can sing a little too.
You could be the whole back line.
You're listening to LaGrungeMusic.com.